All right.
Okay,
Seconds
Tony.
left.
Okay, here we go. Countdown. It's exciting.
Yeah, I know. It's like this every week. Tuesday nights. All right, here we are on the hour. We're gonna start. I'm gonna share screen. Have you got my slides? Okay. Oh, sorry. Yep. Do you have my slides? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, well, welcome everyone. It's another Tuesday night. It's our Tuesday night education series. Tonight we're so grateful to have guests from Backcountry Access. We've got Tony and Joe, both guides, both done a lot of work with Backcountry Access, and they're going to talk to us about radios. And it's just a really exciting topic. We're really excited to have them. For the Zoom tonight, you'll see that the chat will be available for you all to talk to each other. So if you want to make comments on the presentation, share links with each other, ask questions of each other, then that's a perfectly good way to use the chat. But if you want to ask questions of the presenters, then put those in the Q&A, and I'll get that Q&A and the chat set up so that you all have access to it the entire time. But yeah, there's always an opportunity to ask questions, so don't hesitate. Just put your questions in the Q&A and chat with each other in the chat. And yeah, that's our night. We've got about an hour planned for you, and so here we go. Without further ado, I'll hand off to Joe and Tony, and I'm going to pop out of my share.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. We're really delighted for everyone to join us tonight with BCA. A little bit about myself. My name is Joey Thompson, he, him, his. I work for BCA, gosh, probably over a decade now, as a guide ambassador, and I use a lot of their snow safety equipment when I'm out traveling and touring in my professional um, endeavors and my personal endeavors out traveling in the snow. So Tony, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Toni Leskela, and sometimes I have a little bit of an accent. So if you don't understand something I say, please don't be shy asking. So I'm senior engineer manager at PCA, basically working lots with the beacons and radios, and I'm also certified ski guide, apprentice Alpine, assistant Alpine and apprentice rock guide and airy course leader. So very passionate about the outdoor gear and equipment you guys are using in the backcountry.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. Ron, do I just go ahead and share my screen and then hop on to the slideshow?
Yeah, it's your show. I'll just be here to funnel any big questions up to you, and I'm going to go dark as soon as you roll.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start sharing. Here we go. Okay, everyone. Yep. Again, just a little bit of more background. I've this is my 27th year guiding professionally. I work for the AMJ as the assistant technical director, and I've been on the instructor team for the AMJ for a bit over a decade now. Again, I work for BCA, and I dabble in all the disciplines: rock, alpine, ice, and ski mountaineering. Okay, so what we need to know about radios. This is a pretty hefty topic overall. There's lots of radios out there. So our goal for tonight is to introduce you to a few of the options that you have. Just kind of like we're going to start off with, some federal regulations, the difference of, FCC, and talking a little bit about FRS radios and GMRS radios that are commonly used in recreational folks and professional folks. And I also thought it would be neat to talk a little bit about some avalanche instructors, and I'm also an avalanche instructor for ARI and are teaching the recreational realm and since 2008. So so here we go. Okay, so we're going to introduce you to a few countries here in the United States. We're going to talk about Europe, talk about Japan, and then we'll dive in a little bit deeper. So basically, for the United States of America, the Federal Trade Commission in the U.S. Regulates our radio transmissions. The governing body for our for communications in the U.S. Okay. We basically have a couple different options. Hopefully, we can create some clarity around this. We have an FRS, which stands for Family Radio Service, and those are our 2-watt radios. So when we're traveling, I travel with a BCA Mini, and it's a 2-watt radio. And also there's a 2.0 link that's also pretty useful out there. They both have lapel mics. And maybe we can pause real quick there and maybe bring Tony in to tell us a little bit more on some of the features and maybe some differences from both the Mini and the 2.0 link.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that the FRS radio, which is Link Mini and Link 2.0, can transmit on 2 watt, and that is maximum. And GMRS service can transmit with 5 watts. How big the difference is when you are using them in the backcountry is not actually so big because all of these radios are line of sight radios. They don't go through the trees, or they go poorly through the trees. They don't go through the mountain. But you might get a little bit of transmission going over the mountain because of the diffraction or reflection. And you might get a little bit of the transmission when you go over the mountaintop. Also, when you are valley to valley transmission. However, 5 watts obviously in the diffraction and reflection works a little bit better, and that would be GMRS radio. On the GMRS radios, you need to do license, need to have license, which is good for 10 years. You get the license. It covers all of your household. So basically people living in the same building as you are. But like I said, you need to have a license from FCC, and you can get that FCC license from FCC website. Are you going to get busted if you don't have that license? Is there going to be black van waiting at you on the trailhead? Extremely unlikely. But this is one of those questions. Would you not pay your taxes if you wouldn't get caught, for example? So right thing to do is to get that license if you are using GMRS radio. One thing you also want to remember is that both of these radios, when you are using channels 8 through 14, they are only transmitting on 0.5 watts. And that is another rule from FCC. I don't know why they decided to do this rule. It's caught there from all FRS service rules, but it's there. 2018, the FCC changed the Part 95, which is rules about personal mobile radio services, and that's when they stuck that 0.5 watt rule on channels 8 through 14. So if you want to get more range, use something else than 8 through 14. If you want your battery last longer, use 8 through 14 channels. If you are, for example, in the hot trip.
Very nice. Just one thing to add to the GMRS radios. You will be issued a call sign and a bit of a disclaimer for all radio use for family radio service and GMRS general mobile radio service is that people can listen in. So we want to make sure that we're not like playing music and airing private information. It's just great to connect with your team. Again, what Tony was saying, just to make sure everybody heard correctly. This is great. This is a great connection for line of sight. Okay. The other benefit, go ahead, Tony, please.
Just wanted to mention, if you have accident in the mountain, be very careful what you say. over these channels because there are geeks out there who actually record these channels, and wrong things or bad jokes told on these channels after the accident might look, especially for those who are doing this professionally, might look really bad when they come up into litigation. And based on what happened in a couple of last years, people are ready to sue you very fast when accident happens.
Yeah, thanks, Tony, for the reminder. Other things about the GMRS with 5 watts is that um, if you're a bit further away around a corner of a mountain or a nose or an apron or something, you're maybe not in the same drainage. It is possible that the transmission can bend around some of the terrain features. So as professionals, we'll talk a little bit about this later. But as a professional, we've moved to the GMRS radios and moved away from the VHF radios requiring a ham radio operating license and the upkeep and those kinds of things. So we found them to be very, very valuable as we have little satellite communication devices that can get outside additional resources started if we need that. So they're great tools to connect with your team. Okay. So we figured Tony and I put together some countries that are commonly Americans like to go skiing, and so we'll talk a little bit about some of the countries that are pretty popular to go skiing. In Europe, the main organizer or the government that organizes the radio communications is the PMR, Private Mobile Radio. It's like an FRS radio in Europe, but the max transmitter power is 0.5 watts, which again, Tony can talk a little bit about that here in just a moment. And we want to be very careful and mindful not to be using our frequencies over there because, for an example, you could be transmitting on EMS or air or military communications. So it's just unlawful. Tony, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, Joey mentioned you might be transmitting on EMS. That actually is the thing. FRS frequencies are in the use for rescue services in Ben Nevis, whilst the transmit power is only 0.5 watts. If there is rescue going on nearby you, you might cause trouble. And the kicker is you won't know that you're causing trouble because they are transmitting in trunked radio in the same frequency, so you can't, your squalls on your radio will cut it out, but their transmission doesn't go through because you are taking the bandwidth. So yes, again, you might be able to use FRS radio in Europe. Yes, you might cause unintended trouble, less likely that you'd get busted. 0.5 watt transmit power, in my experience, is good enough for anything roped access and inside team communication while skiing. It's enough for that, but between two teams skiing, 0.5 watts tends to be way too low.
Tony, do you happen to have any statistics on the distance, the range?
That is a good question, and it depends on terrain. There is geeks in Europe who are trying to do the maximum distance on 0.5 watt radios, and they have been able to do distances up to 120 kilometers, but that is basically from mountaintop to hot air balloon or over the sea. In mountains, my experience using these radios, you can get up to 3 kilometers in good conditions when it's line of sight. But mm, using these radios team to team is kind of like playing, but inside your team, they work well.
Outstanding. Okay, we're going to be moving along here. We have just roughly an hour or so, so we keep the PowerPoint moving here. Okay. So for Japan, Japan is a very popular place for Americans to go skiing. It's a similar guidance here as we're talking about Europe, where you need to be very mindful. GMRS, FRS, PMR are not legal, and they do not have their own service. Tony, you can talk a little bit more about this in just a moment, but the government has a license-free radio service. It's a zero point 0.1 watts, and roughly what we were able to have some of the experience of. It's again a shorter range of communications from essentially 300 to 1 kilometer max. You can use 5-watt radios in Japan. However, you need to register with the Japanese government. I never have registered a radio with the Japanese government. I don't know what that really looks like. We can, if you have questions about that, we can get back to you later. And Tony, anything you would like to add?
There was a question, first of all, there was a question about skiing in Europe. Yeah, if you go to ski to Europe, unfortunately, you cannot take your FRS radio with you. You have to either buy PMR radio if you want to work legally, you have to buy PMR radio in Europe or borrow, rent PMR radio in Europe. And same goes for Japan. It is much more likely in Japan to get in trouble with the FRS or GMRS radio because it's so densely populated. I don't know what the probability would be, but it's more likely. I've heard one case where a person got fined and it was customer of BCA and started a little bit of a challenge because got fined, and apparently he experienced that we didn't communicate clearly enough that they can't use FRS radios in Japan. But the fine was not in the price range you would be paying when you go to Japan. But anyway, with the Japanese 0.5 watt radios, 300 meters to 1 kilometer in the worst condition is your range, and it's not only terrain that affects this, it's also background noise, same way as in the beacons. When you have lots of noise present, you have to do shorter search strip. Same goes for radio, the range goes down.
Canada, a great northern neighbor. You know, I can speak a little bit from the professional side for Canada. At the AMGA, we use Canadian range radios that are programmed from the ACMG. We have permission to do so, and being members of the ACMG. But Industry Canada is the regulator in Canada. FRS radios conform to IIC or IC rules. Radios should be confirmed by the IC by the manufacturer. Tony, anything you want to share there as far as any experience you've had? I know you've done some skiing in Canada, and anything you want to share?
Whoops, I lost the internet there for a moment. Yeah, when I say should be confirmed with IC by manufacturers, this is the same thing. You should have IC mark in your radio in Canada, you should have FCC mark in your radio in USA, and you should have CE mark in your radio in Europe. But I said should because there are some manufacturers out there who either use those markings without going through the conformity process, and I don't think you can get in trouble using those radios as an end user if there is the marking, but there are a couple of manufacturers who misuse these markings. Having said that, if there is PMR radio, FRS radio, GMRS radio with IC marking, FCC marking, or CE marking, that puts the blame if it doesn't fulfill the conformity from you to manufacturer.
Oh, Mr. Edgerly chimed in here. Bruce has made a comment here. He's also an ambassador for BCA. BCA has North American version, 2 watts of its link radios, and a European version of 0.5 watts. The former is only sold in North America, and the latter is only sold in Europe. Thank you, Edge, for the clarification there. Super helpful. Okay. So privacy codes, Tony, I think you would be better to speak to this than I would be. I have a layman's term or a layman's use of privacy codes here. If you don't mind taking it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Joey. Privacy codes is really bad name for those codes because they don't give you privacy. They cut extra chatter out from your channel. If you set your privacy code off or 00, you can listen all the traffic in the channel no matter what privacy code is used by other people. If your privacy code, whoopsie daisy, is anything but off or 00, you can only hear transmissions with the same channel and same privacy code. I'm sorry, I made this slide whilst I was on the meeting. And this is number one question for customer service for us. Most commonly asked question, somebody has privacy code 00 and someone else have, for example, 18. And now the person who has 18 can't hear transmission from the 00, and but the 00 can hear the person who has privacy code 18, and they are in the same channel, and the person with 00 thinks that their transmission is broken, or person with 18 thinks that their receive is broken. This is not case, they just have different privacy codes. So just a reminder for everybody out there that privacy code doesn't really give you privacy, it just cuts out the chatter from everybody else who aren't in the same privacy code.
Very nice. And now if we do a little deeper dive in this, what we've done before is say in Rocky Mountain National Park, some of the guides there, what we've done is we've assigned a channel and a privacy code for certain drainages of the park. So when we enter a drainage, then we can switch our channel and privacy code over to that drainage. I know certain ski areas like Alpental, A Basin also have channels and privacy codes too. So say you're heading into A Basin, you pop over Loveland Pass, you can tune in on your BCA radio. You can get the channel and the privacy code, and then you can hear and I can call, hey Tony, are you on Paolo Vicini chair over? And Tony like, Tony would come back. Hey JT, this is Tony. Yes, I'm on Tower 4. I'm in the air. Great to hear your voice. Over. And then I'm like, great. Okay, I can pull into the parking lot, wait at the bottom of Paolo Vicini, and then Tony can ski down and we can rendezvous. Okay, so for recreational use, generally FRS is the way to go for 2 watts. For examples, you can use it to manage your group for group management. For example, skiing one at a time. You can share with the team, for example, when you're skiing down the pitch, maybe the first person that goes maybe skis a little bit more of a breakable slab, and they ski down and they find the really good snow. They recollect the group in a safer location. They can call up and say, "Hey Tony, ski to the right of my track," and you'll find some really good snow off to the skier's right. Tony's like, "Roger, okay." He gets the goods all the way down the pitch, and we recollect and we continue down the mountain. Island of safety to safety point. The next person goes to increase the safety. We highly encourage folks not to load the slope with multiple skiers, and that increases the avalanche risk of the team when we do that. Okay, so as far as in the backcountry use. Tree skiing can also be very helpful. If Tony goes first, he could he could radio down and say, "Okay, Joe, I'm mid pitch here. You just stay close to my track. You'll see my track come out of the trees into an open glade, and I'll be waiting there for you." And I said, "Okay, Roger that." And I'll be making my way down, over and out, and then Tony's just recollected me in the trees. So for some avalanche instructors, we may use GMRS 5 watts or FRS 2 watts. Generally, having everybody on BCA link radios is a way to go so that we can all be on the same channel in privacy code. And we can use that to say, "Hey, Tony, before we head out teaching this avalanche program, I'd like to check in with you at 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 2 p.m., just so that we can coordinate and share observations and/or just a quick radio check-in to give ourselves some like time frames. Hey, I'm digging a snowpack profile right now. Tony, I'm going to be a little late to arrive back to the parking lot at our 2 p.m. check-in. So I might be a little bit later, say, 2:45 or 3 p.m., just to give you a heads up." And okay, Roger that, over and out, just so we can all kind of time so we're all arriving back at the trailhead at the same time. Again, I mentioned sharing observations. That could be very helpful. Maybe it's outside the scheduled check-ins, and Tony may be skiing around a drainage and say, "Oh, okay, hey, Joey T, I got sudden and planar results in my snowpack tests, and I just want to give you a heads up on the depth, some of the results of those snowpack tests, just as a heads up." I'm like, "Oh, okay, got it. Okay, I thank you for sharing, Tony, over and out." Um, and also really for class 1 data for our avalanche activity, Tony, I could radio over to Tony and say, "Hey, I know you're heading into the Dragon Tail area. I'm also, maybe I'm in the chaotic drainage of Rocky Mountain National Park, and I can, on a high point, I can shoot down the ridge and a line of sight to Tony that's in the bowl and say, 'Hey, heads up, I'm seeing these aspects, these elevations. I'm seeing dry, loose activity, just as a heads up, give them the size of, just making sure that Tony's aware." So they're really good for avalanche instruction and communication. Again, maybe when we get to the top of a slope where we'll bring our students up to, and we're going to ski a 600-foot shot back down to the valley bottom. Again, we can use that to communicate for skiing one at a time. Okay, hey, Tony, I'm at the bottom. Go ahead and send the next person. That's more of a group management strategy. So we can like recollect the group. And Tony's out the bottom and say, "Okay, JT, I have 3, I have 4, okay, I have 5." And I'm like, "Okay," Tony has all of the students down there and say, "Tony, okay, I'm going to ski to you." And I sweep the slope to make sure we don't miss anybody. I know Tony has all of the group collected at the bottom of the pitch. Okay. Also, too, it could be very, very helpful. Let's say we're on an avalanche program. Oh, and someone has an illness. They have a cold or flu, or they're not feeling well, or maybe they have a trick knee or something. And I could say, "Hey, Tony, I need some assistance over here. Maybe if you don't mind bringing your, additional resources in your group my way, we could really use some assistance." Also, it could be really helpful if Tony skis the slope at the bottom, maybe to like the middle of the pitch or so, and the students, ski past Tony, recollect at the bottom in a safer zone outside of the runout. Tony can radio up to members in his group, the other students, and say, "Oh, we have a student down. Do you have like a stronger student skier that can ski down and help pick up that student, obviously in simple terrain, less than 30 degrees, to help pick somebody, or maybe they dropped a pole or lost something out of their backpack or something, and it's just great communication. So Tony doesn't have to put his skins on and then get back into walk mode, loosen up his boots, and travel uphill to go get that equipment. Tony, as an avalanche instructor, is there any additionals that you would like to add?
Sir, you were quite comprehensive on your explanation.
Yeah, Tony and I have done a lot of avalanche education over the years together. So, okay, great. Let's check the chat. Looks like maybe we have anybody on here. See, Oh, okay, Tony, you've answered some questions. Great. Okay. Okay. So for professionals, a little bit longer of a bullet pointed list here. Basically, we as guides, we use this as a group management tool primarily, using it as an invisible rope to give direction and help control the team. We primarily use it for a safety tool, for ski cutting a slope. Let's say Tony and I are team guiding and we're at the top of the slope. Tony drops into the slope to make a ski cut. And then as he gets through the cut of cutting a soft slab or dry loose, he pops a size one, and he skis into the trees, into a safer zone exit point. Tony can radio to me and say, "Okay, I'm kick turning here. I'm in position. Okay, I just made the cut. I can share with him the results, and then Tony can kind of pop back into the slope and help manage the group as I'm start sending skiers, or I can ski the slope down to a recollection point, and then Tony is perched up higher, and so that we can then move the group through the terrain. Again, I'm trying to cover a little bit of like where the intersection is for recreational and professionals. Again, professionals we can call up with having our clients on radio communications. We can now actually ask them, hey, if somebody dropped a ski pole, could you ski down there and help that person out. Also, a caveat here is we got to be very, very careful loading up slopes with multiple skiers. And we, as guides, we tend to use this technique when we do load up slopes, but when the avalanche risk is low and lower avalanche hazard. Okay. Hazards and obstacles. There's a great way to communicate with your group as you're skiing down the pitch. I may, before I actually drop into the slope, I may recognize that there's some convex roll or some obstacle or some kind of hazard. So as I ski down the pitch, I'll use my track to avoid the terrain feature. I'll ski down like, oh, I just see this convex roll. I'm going to go off to the left of it, avoid it, and then I'll ski down to the left of it, and then I'll kind of continue down fall line of the pitch. I may then break into the trees, kick turn uphill, or kick turn into the slope. I'll radio up to Tony and say, "Hey, Tony, do me a favor, have everybody ski to the left of my track to avoid that obstacle," because we may not always see those obstacles in our tour planning session in the beginning of the day. So it can be really good for when you're on sighting, ski on sighting. Um, Love using the tool, the radio, to deliver the goods and also to let our clients know where the good snow is. We want to have them have an enjoyable experience. So again, if there's that breakable crust, we want to set the clients up for success in hero snow, and we want to point them and communicate to them where that good snow is. So radios are really helpful to maximize that experience. Skiing in whiteout conditions can be helpful. Let's say I'm skiing down a glacier run, low angle great glacier run. I have a group behind me. I may have radios within the group. Maybe Tony's in the back tail guiding. And then what I could say up to the group is, all right, hey everybody, when I start skiing and you start to lose my visibility and I start to disappear into the whiteout, do me a favor, give me a holler on the radio and just say, hey, JT, we're losing you down there. Go ahead and stop, and I'll stop in a position. I use my ski track as definition in the snow, and then the clients can now have a depth perception of my track, and they can ski right to me, and then we'd rinse and repeat all the way down the pitch. Essentially, we talked a little bit about this, is using terrain as hand railing, hanging on to features, like maybe an apex spine, and we can communicate those types of terrain features to the group in the same situation where a guide goes first and it communicates that up to the team. Again, fencing, it's kind of a fancy word for kind of setting a boundary where I'm stacking people to the left or to the right of my track. I could just, as the guide, go first, find out where the good snow is. I find it, I ski fall line. I'm going fall line. Maybe I take a hard left uh, side turn, and then I continue to keep skiing fall line. I can get um, I can essentially call up to the team above me and I can say, all right, everybody, just the snow is really good in there. Just ski right or left of my track. And everybody kind of essentially spoons my tracks all the way down the slope. Okay. Again, it's very, very, very important for guides to have line of sight and communicate with one another. Most of the programs, either there's ice or uh, ski touring, ski mountaineering. It's imperative. It's imperative to be able to have those communications with your team, especially with a tail guide person in the back, to just make sure that everybody's on the same page when we're moving the group down the mountain. Tony, as a certified ski guide and having a bunch of days, a European skier and area instructor yourself, anything in there that you would like to cover and how you use your radio?
Well, these are the things we talked when we were doing the slideshow, so you covered it really well, but I just like the fencing and handrailing as a tool so much. Like, for example, just communicating that it's not just white out, green out, treeing, especially skiing in the trees. If you can, if you can establish fence, for example, we all ski on the known terrain feature. It can be, for example, road, and then fence one side of that road of your ski run. Everybody stay on my right side, and then you have tail guide. You are pretty covered for nice long bits of skiing and wonderful customer reward with that. So I really like those tools. I'm really happy that you brought them out.
Tony, remember that day that we skied the Dragon Tail and the Dragon Tail apron that day when it was just cold snow and it was really deep. I think, he had maybe you just moved to the US and we were out getting out skiing. We used our radios then that day where it was the whiteout conditions, windy, fresh snow. And I believe I got you on video. You skied all the way down. I kind of lost you in the snow a bit, and you skied all the way down to the lake, and then took a hard turn into the safer zone. And then I was like, oh, and you're like, Joey, are you coming? Okay, you can go. I'm like, oh, I was just waiting for you to get off the pitch. So you can really clarify. You can really clarify, within your team. So if you ever like lose sight of somebody, you can say, all right, yeah, just follow my track to where I'm at.
Yeah, I remember that well.
That was a
That
good,
was a fun day.
really good ski day. Okay. Okay, so we're moving into how we want to communicate with the radios. So this is something that I think we want to spend just a little bit of time on because a lot of chatter. It's we want to make sure that we're clear and concise in what the direction is. So making sure that there's just not a long story to tell, and or if you do have a long communication that you need to portray, it's nice to be able to speak for about 30 seconds, break the airwave, and then start your communications over again. Okay, so it's not just this long paragraph, so it's in digestible chunks. Okay, Tony, anything in here that you would want to talk about maybe versus like a recreational versus a professional?
Well, I would recommend having good radio etiquette for everybody because these FRS and GMRS radio channels are open, and you might have multiple teams in the same area skiing, and one of them is in the same same frequency and privacy channel or just frequency as you are, and your friend is skiing down and you hear from radio just very excited, drop it, shred it. without calling the name or call sign in the beginning, and you basically ski the pitch in the same time and risk your friend who is still on the pitch to get under the snow you might kick down. So I recommend good communication on the radios for everybody, and you don't have to use your own name. You can call Finn and Patcher instead of Tony and Joey, or come up with another call sign in your team. But I highly recommend that you start using call names. Bill, this is Matt. Come in over. Matt, this is Bill. Go ahead over. And saying that over means that you release that push to talk, and you after over, and your friend knows that now is his time to talk. Otherwise, you might cut down the speech from the beginning or at the end. And there is good example in literature about this, where a person was cut down when he was trying to say don't shoot, and only thing coming through is shoot. And you might have not necessarily this mistake when you are skiing, but similar mistake where you are skiing above your friend when you really don't want to be above your friend and kick down snow on your friend if there is a chance of avalanche.
That's a great point, and I think just something that I have to remind myself too when I'm using these radios, when I'm communicate with Tony out in the field is I want to key my mic first, wait 1, 2 seconds, then communicate so that I don't cut myself off. And it's important to, and again, this slide, it talks a little bit about it, agreeing on next actions, ending in every transmission on over. But I basically want to make sure that I give time for Tony to respond so I don't cut Tony off. So that's why we use the break in between our transmissions so that Tony knows that I'm still going to say some other things on the radio. So these are some common, I wouldn't say necessarily mistakes, but some things that I have to catch myself because I have a lot to share with Tony in the field, and I want to make sure that I'm clear, concise, and I push the talk button for a couple seconds so that I know that the mic is keyed, and then I deliver the message. And if it's going to be a long message, then I want to make sure I say break. It can continue with my message after the break, waiting for like that 2 second pause, and then deliver my communication, and then say over so that Tony knows that I'm done saying what I need to say so that he can respond and say maybe, okay, good copy, JT. And then when he says copy, he may repeat the highlight of what my message was, and then followed by over. Tony, is that something that's been my experience skiing with you in the field?
I don't know what's the right answer to that question, but yes, sometimes you have lots to tell in the radio.
Yeah, I mean, there's, just keeping it clear. And sometimes you may not want to use your radio and you could just have the plan before you ski the pitch. And then you may be in line of sight with your ski poles and just give a pole wave for the next person to come down to you and some of those things. So again, radios are important, but if you don't have to use them, just to maybe not just hop on there and just tell a story or anything like that either, right? Um, I have a question for you, Tony. I think I saw this in the chat. What about emergency services on FRS radios?
That is really good question, and I've been wondering how to answer that on the chat. There is more and more location-specific channels, like I believe Alpental has been established. Alpental area in Seattle has been establishing channel for which is common to that area. Then there is if I'm not quite wrong, one at A Basin. I think Bruce Edgerly knows more about these specific channels. I haven't been following them as much, but there are few places, but there is no generic way to get help if accident happens with FRS radios. However, you can, if you know that there is more traffic in the radio in the area and you don't have cell reception, you can always try to link with people who are in the chain channel and ask if they have cell service and they can call help, kind of like act as a human repeater for your emergency. But that is very lucky if that happens. Uh, so clear answer is there is no system where you can get 911 through the radio. And looks like David S. has been saying that there is one in Utah
Hmm.
and somebody, oh, somebody is clearing up the question. I meant once emergency is on the way to communicate with them. Is it guiding the right spot of an avalanche accident? I'm not sure if the emergency services have the FRS or GMRS frequencies programmed in their radios, so I can find out, but I'm not sure if they have that. So I'm quite doubtful that they don't have access to these frequencies.
Right. I know the GMRS has like weather um, forecasts that you can pull up to get the National Weather Service on to give you current weather. Um, but the FRS are limited in that capacity. Um, and then if Mr. Edgerly, if you have something you would like to share, as what Tony and I were just chatting about, we can maybe toss that into chat too, and we can communicate with you.
Yeah, it's just wrote that places with community radio channels specific to each range, Telluride, Perth Hood, Pass, Central Wasatch, Snoqualmie Pass, and Lake Tahoe. Thank you so much, Edge.
Great, great. So hopefully that's helpful for folks that are skiing around the states. You can hop on those channels and privacy codes and tune in, and that could be really helpful for emergency services as far as um, you know um, self-rescue applications. Okay, without calling outside additional resources. All right. Oh, I see Ron surfaced back. How you doing, Ron? Anything you'd like to hop in here to say?
Oh no, there's just some great questions I was going to funnel towards you when you're ready.
Great. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's hear the questions.
Cool. Well, I've got Tom and Brandon are just asking questions about how the radio is sort of mounted on your kit. Like, is it mounted on your helmet? Is it voice activated? Just that they're trying to imagine use it, how to practically use this thing. So yeah, maybe you could tell a little bit about how the mic is arranged or how you actually carry and use it.
Sure, I can speak specifically to the Link 2.0. You have the receiver portion with a long uh, like not I wouldn't say it has like a little micro antenna on top of the receiver, and then you have like a lapel mic that is on like but Tony, what is that? Like not a bungee cord, but what is that? Like a little circular. Do you have one available you can show somebody? Great. And that can clip right on the shoulder strap of your backpack, and it has like a little button to push to then push to talk. Yep, there it is. Yep. Thanks, Tony. There we go. And you can see that it has like a wire that's stretchy that essentially that lapel mic, you can show the lapel mic there, that'll clip, that's what you actually will talk. And then you actually have your channels on there that you can rotate through to communicate with your team. That can be very helpful. Um, and generally outside is a good place for it. So you have it right here so you can communicate to your group. Um, some tips, sometimes I could, I've gone through, for the BCA packs, there's actually a strap within the backpack that it has a slot inside of the actual shoulder strap. that comes into the top of your pack, the lapel comes out of your pack through this shoulder strap, and there's like a little zipper that you can pull up, and you can clip the lapel mic right onto that shoulder strap. If you don't have a BCA pack, that's okay. I have actually taken the lapel mic off of the radio and put it through my Camelback uh, tube hole there in your backpack. So that can be helpful to bring that through there and then attach it to your lapel mic on your pack, your shoulder strap.
Yeah, I really like the fact that I can put in Link 2.0, I can put the radio inside my backpack, which protects it from elements, snow, and especially cold air. If you ever ski in Norway, you really know that your electronics start dying really fast in the northern atmosphere, and also in Colorado. Why not in Colorado? And that gives massive amount of more transmit time from your battery when it's in your backpack. So
And, and,
I
and yeah.
I use my radio like Joey said. Radio unit goes in the backpack, and the mic goes in the shoulder strap, and I don't have to remove it when I talk to it. And that's why we also added the quick channel selector on your mic, so you can change channel if your channel is too trafficked during the ski day very easily. You just tell Joey, this is Tony coming over, and Joey's listening, and I tell let's go to channel D instead of channel A, so we can get away from all of this traffic and it's not bothering us whilst we're skiing.
Very nice. And then for folks that are skiing inside the ski area, I encourage folks to maybe unzip their Gore-Tex jacket or their jacket, and you can put the receiver inside of your jacket so that it's kept warm on the inside pocket. And then you can bring it around and then clip it on the outside of your jacket right here onto the collar of your jacket. So you have it available to always to speak there. You don't necessarily need a backpack, so you're keeping the receiver warm, and you have access to your lapel mic.
Uh, Folks are really interested in some of these like carrying questions.
Yep.
Um, so t Tom further wants to know if it's difficult to hear the radio with a helmet on, or maybe lots of things covering your ears.
There's a volume on it, so you can always turn it up or turn it down. So if you can't hear, sometimes helmets have the little the protectors here. You can take those out as well. But generally, I haven't ever I ski with a helmet. I haven't had an issue. I generally keep my volume around 3/4 of a level when I have my helmet on, and when I'm maybe ski touring around without my helmet, I'm working my way up slope. I would turn the volume down just so it's not, blasting in your ear because they are
Got it.
loud.
And then Thea's going to experiment with like where the antenna is like relative to their face. But one question is uh, if the antenna transmit just fine with it when it's inside the pack. Like, is that a problem that it's stuffed inside a nylon? It's inside some kind of nylon and under stuff. Is that a problem?
It's not the optimal place for the longest transmission distance, but I the difference is not loss is not so big that I would like to put my antenna in top. And whilst in these radios we test them for EMI, how much they affect your beacon, because we have lab for that, and they don't when they are new. However, after you have been throwing your radio around with your backpack, throwing it on helicopter, throwing it into your car pack, there is small damage you can cause into your radio, and that might cause more EMI in the future. And that's another reason why I like this configuration. the radio goes into your backpack and it's away from your beacon when you need it, either transmitting or receiving. So you create distance. So given the safety for the beacon, given the more life for your battery, I'm happy to lose that little bit of transmit length. And let's face it, most of the communication is inside your team when 2 watts or 0.5 watts is enough for with these radios for the communication inside your team.
And then Tony, just real quick, could you show us the lapel mic again real quick? Because their speaker is on the lapel mic. It's not on the receiver there. So you see there's like if you yeah, right below the BCA logo there, you can see that there's a few little stripes there. That's the speaker. And then you can see that by Tony's index finger there, that's where the volume is, so you can um turn it up or down. And then where his ring finger is, you can see that's where you push to talk. There you go. Hopefully that answers some questions there.
There were a lot of questions about that.
Oh,
One more that one more maybe Tony can speak to again is does the contents of your backpack affect the performance of the radio? Like, is there an interference from a metal water bottle or anything else you have in that backpack?
Not as much as it would do for beacon.
Mhm.
Everything affects everything, but effect for metal water bottle is not as drastic or shovel as it would be for beacon.
Got it. Well, folks, if you've got some great expertise here, some years of experience in the field, if you any other questions you want these folks to answer, just drop them in there.
yeah, I just have a few moments left. And if Ron, if we did not answer everyone's questions, if we can get some contact information, Tony and I would be happy to follow up off the webinar.
All right. Well, we'll take questions at any time. I'm going to share our final closing slides here.
Great.
There we go. Okay, you got my slide?
Yes.
Okay, here we go, folks. Our webinar series is almost finished for this winter. We have two left. We're going to have Blizzard Technica next week, talk about some touring boots, some tips and tricks there. And then near the end of the month, Black Diamond is going to present on avalanche safety for climbers. That's going to be a lot of fun. Uh, as always, just remember that AREA is a nonprofit and we offer these webinars to the public for free, but any support and donations you can give to the cause just helps us continue to do our work and helps us continue to provide this content and connect you with experts at BCA like Joe and Tony. So yeah, your support is always appreciated in that way. I get out of my share. See if any other questions popped in. No, just lots of oh, here we go. Um, can the BCA GMRS radio connect to repeaters?
BCA has at the moment only FRS radios, and FRS radios cannot connect to repeaters. And GMRS radio repeaters are very, very uncommon. So yes, as much as I would like to say we can use the repeaters with GMRS, I don't, I haven't checked in a long, long time, but there hasn't been any GMRS repeaters, at least in Rockies or Washington.
Got it. Well, everyone's just giving thanks and signing off in the chat team.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say thank you, Ron, for having us here. Thank you, Tony, for being here. Thanks everyone for attending. And really excited to get out skiing with every single one of you. There's probably a lot of you. I'm not seeing what Ron's seeing on that side, but Ron, Tony, Edge, let's get out and do some skiing.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, nice to see you. Really nice to see you, Ron. It's been such a long time since we
Yeah,
were
for
working
sure.
together at CMS.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a few years now.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. If any unanswered questions, you can always track Joe and Tony down at BCA, and we're going to call it a night. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a great night.
Have a great night.